Some souls are born into light, others are thrown into fire, and it is in that fire that they awaken. There are people who grow up surrounded by chaos, betrayal, anger, manipulation, silence that cuts deeper than words. They carry the wounds of homes that were never homes at all. But here's the paradox. It is often those who are destined to rise above the noise who are sent into it first. Not to become victims of it, but to learn mastery through it. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." And that is the hidden truth behind the pain of being born into toxicity. That hardship, when faced with awareness, forges depth. The soul that has seen dysfunction and refused to become it becomes something extraordinary, aware, resilient, and deeply alive. Awakened souls are not born into comfort because comfort doesn't awaken anyone. They are born into testing grounds, into lessons, into noise so loud that silence becomes sacred, into pain so deep that peace becomes their highest form of rebellion. When we begin to see life through this lens, even suffering becomes a kind of teacher. Epictetus, who himself was born a slave, taught that we suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. The awakened soul learns this through experience. They realize that the toxic family is not the curse, it is the forge. A forge that burns away naivety, dependency, and illusions of control. When you grow up surrounded by emotional chaos, you learn to control what others cannot. Yourself. You learn silence when others shout, patience when others provoke, dignity when others humiliate. You learn to find peace, not in people, but in your inner state. And this quiet mastery, is what makes you different. It's no coincidence that Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote about restraint, composure, and compassion. He saw that control of the outer world means nothing without control of the inner one. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." So, when you're born into a toxic family, you are given a sacred choice to either continue the chain or break it, to either inherit their chaos or turn it into wisdom. And that is what awakened souls do. We stop expecting apologies. We stop trying to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding us. We stop fighting to be loved by people who cannot love beyond themselves. Instead, we turn inward. We strengthen the only fortress that can never be destroyed, the mind. Because to a Stoic heart, peace is not found in perfect circumstances. It is found in the decision to remain calm amid imperfection. The awakened soul realizes that their toxic family was never sent to destroy them, but to reveal them, to show them where their boundaries lie, to teach them where love must come from, within. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And that is what toxic environments unknowingly do. They give us the chance to prove ourselves. They strip away the illusion that peace can be handed to us. They force us to become creators of it. We begin to see the ones who hurt us not as villains, but as mirrors, showing us everything we must rise above. We no longer fight them, because fighting keeps us chained. We simply observe, detach, transcend. To be born into a toxic family is to be chosen for a higher path, not because you are better, but because you are being prepared for strength that cannot be faked. You learn empathy through pain, discipline through chaos, silence through noise, and eventually, when you walk away, not in anger but in peace, that is when you realize the purpose of it all. Awakened souls are not born to fit in. They are born to end cycles. They do not scream their transformation. They live it quietly, powerfully, like still water after a storm. The another reason of awakened souls are born into toxic families, to learn the art of detachment and inner freedom. There is a reason the awakened soul is not given an easy beginning. It is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Because those who are meant to rise above the world must first be shown how deeply the world can wound. The Stoics understood this truth long before modern psychology gave it a name. They believed that our greatest task is not to control the people around us, but to control our reactions to them. And nowhere is this lesson tested more than within a toxic family. When you are surrounded by people who thrive on chaos, manipulation, and emotional dependency, you are constantly tempted to lose yourself. You're pulled into cycles of anger, guilt, and pain. You begin to doubt your worth, your voice, and sometimes even your sanity. But this is precisely the battlefield where detachment, the highest Stoic virtue, is born. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The awakened soul learns this not from books or philosophy, but from life itself. You realize that you cannot reason with those committed to misunderstanding you. You cannot change hearts that do not wish to see truth. You cannot heal people who find power in remaining broken. And so you learn to let go, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. To detach does not mean to stop caring. It means to stop allowing your peace to be held hostage by someone else's dysfunction. It means to love from a distance, to forgive without returning to the fire, and to remain centered even when the storm rages. This detachment is not cold, it is sacred. It is the quiet armor of the awakened. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you're born into toxicity, you're given endless opportunities to test this truth. Every insult, every betrayal, every manipulation becomes a spiritual weight that, when lifted with grace, builds your inner muscle. You begin to understand that emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings, but mastering them. You still feel the pain, but you no longer let it command you. You still see the chaos, but you no longer become part of it. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. The awakened soul, however, begins to see pain as an invitation, a teacher pointing toward freedom. You start to see your family not as enemies, but as mirrors reflecting everything you must outgrow. Their anger teaches you patience. Their gossip teaches you silence. Their manipulation teaches you the value of truth. Each wound becomes a doorway into higher awareness. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The toxic family, though unaware, gives the awakened soul the rare opportunity to prove themselves, not in pride, not in revenge, but in inner strength, in the ability to remain calm, compassionate, and untouchable in the face of destruction. Eventually, you stop needing validation. You stop trying to explain yourself. You stop fighting battles that cannot be won. You begin to realize that peace is not found when others change. It is found when you stop needing them to. This is the sacred detachment the Stoics spoke of, the art of remaining inwardly free in an unfree world. And then something miraculous happens. You no longer carry resentment. The same people who once drained your spirit now serve as proof of your evolution. You see them, you understand them, but you no longer engage with their madness. You move in silence, protecting your energy like a warrior protects his sword. You become the calm presence that no chaos can corrupt. The awakened soul who learns detachment becomes a paradox, compassionate but firm, understanding yet unmoved. You no longer chase peace, you embody it, and from that state, life begins to transform. Toxicity loses its power, manipulators lose their grip. And you, the one who once felt broken, become unshakable. That is why awakened souls are born into toxic families, to learn the lesson of emotional freedom, to master the art of letting go, to rise without bitterness, to walk away without hate, and to remain at peace in the midst of chaos. Because in the end, detachment is not an escape. It is enlightenment. It is the realization that no one, not even family, can touch your soul unless you hand them the power to do so. And once you take that power back, once you live from the stillness within, you finally understand the higher power never abandoned you. It was preparing you all along. The another reason of awakened souls are born into toxic families, to forge unshakable self-reliance. There is a harsh truth the world rarely teaches. No one will ever truly save you. Not parents, not friends, not partners, not mentors. And yet, we often spend our early years expecting just that. Someone else to protect us, guide us, and make life less painful. The awakened soul, born into toxicity, is confronted with the brutal reality that those we are closest to can be unreliable, even harmful. This is not cruelty, it is preparation. For self-reliance is not learned in comfort, it is forged in adversity. The Stoics understood this principle deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved and the raging of the sea falls still around it." The toxic family is the wave, relentless and often violent, but the awakened soul learns to become the rock. Every moment of betrayal, manipulation, or neglect becomes a test, a measure of how firmly you can stand when nothing else is solid beneath your feet. When we are surrounded by those who do not nurture, we are forced to nurture ourselves. When others speak in chaos, we must find our own voice. When trust is broken repeatedly, we must learn to trust in our own judgment. This is the crucible of self-reliance. Every disappointment becomes a teacher, every insult a mirror reflecting our growing independence. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Toxic families reveal what lies beyond our control, and by doing so, they push us to focus on what we can control, ourselves. Self-reliance is not merely surviving alone. It is the ability to act without approval, to decide without fear of judgment, to move forward when the world around you resists. It is a quiet, unyielding power, one that cannot be manipulated or diminished because it comes from within. When we are forced to navigate emotional storms without guidance, we cultivate this power. The awakened soul learns that their strength is not dependent on external validation. Their worth is not measured by others' opinions. Their resilience is carved by adversity, honed by necessity, and tempered by wisdom. Toxicity also teaches discernment. In the absence of genuine support, the awakened soul becomes a master of understanding human character. They learn who is worthy of their time and energy, and who is a drain to their spirit. They develop the rare ability to act decisively without waiting for reassurance, to make choices guided by reason and principle rather than fear or dependency. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." True bravery in the context of a toxic upbringing is the courage to rely solely on oneself when no one else can be trusted to guide the way. As self-reliance grows, so too does inner peace. The awakened soul stops seeking rescue, stops waiting for recognition, and stops being consumed by disappointment. They find stability in their own presence, comfort in their own judgment, and validation in their own actions. The very family dynamics that could have broken them instead become the tools for building an inner fortress, strong, unassailable, and eternal. By the time the awakened soul emerges from these trials, they carry a profound understanding. The power to thrive was always within them. No toxicity can diminish it, no betrayal can destroy it. The storm of a toxic upbringing was not a prison, but a forge, and in that forge the awakened soul becomes self-reliant, unshakable, and quietly, devastatingly powerful. It is this self-reliance, born in adversity, that separates the awakened from the ordinary. While most people crumble under disappointment, the awakened soul stands alone yet complete, ready to face life without fear, without expectation, and without dependence on those who cannot see their worth. This is the hidden gift of being born into a toxic family. It teaches you, painfully but surely, that you are enough. You always were, and now you finally know it. The another reason of awakened souls are born into toxic families: to cultivate unshakable emotional mastery. To live among those who twist words, manipulate feelings, or dismiss your needs is to confront chaos daily. The awakened soul does not merely endure this toxicity, they are forced to master themselves within it. When the world around you is unstable, emotional discipline is no longer optional. It is survival. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every argument, every betrayal, every irrational expectation becomes an exercise in controlling the one thing that cannot be taken from you, your own mind. In a toxic household, feelings of anger, fear, or frustration can arise without warning. But the awakened soul learns to pause, to observe, and to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively. This is the essence of Stoic mastery, recognizing that destructive emotions are not inevitable but choices we can refuse to entertain. Epictetus reminds us, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them." Toxic family members may try to provoke, manipulate, or undermine us, but our response, calm, reasoned, and controlled, becomes our shield. Through this relentless practice, the awakened soul develops a rare and magnetic quality, serenity under pressure. Others may be thrown into panic or despair by chaos, but the one trained in emotional mastery remains grounded. They move through life with quiet confidence, unaffected by manipulation or unnecessary drama. In mastering their inner world, they gain what the world cannot take: freedom, resilience, and an aura of quiet strength. Toxicity does not diminish the awakened soul, it refines them. The household that once threatened to break their spirit becomes the crucible in which self-control, patience, and inner fortitude are forged. This mastery is not learned in peace, but in fire. And once achieved, it allows the awakened soul to navigate the world with a clarity, power, and calmness that is rare, even among the strong. If you found this insight meaningful, remember, mastery begins within. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the psychology of resilience, the power of Stoicism, and the hidden strengths within your struggles. Every video is designed to help you cultivate unshakable inner strength and live a life guided by reason, not reaction. Join us and continue your journey toward becoming unbreakable.